G'day everyone. Proud to say Barkarati is brought to you by Radix Nutrition, makers of the most technically comprehensive nutrition products that have ever existed. Unlock your potential with Radix. G'day listeners, welcome to Barkarati the Sailing Podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors, but of course I have to share the mic with my two idiot mates. So first off, let's welcome Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, Exalted One.
BP.
G'day all, how is everyone going?
Yeah, good mate, how are you?
Okay, now Bicey, you come up in conversation on Friday night. I was sitting there in the palace, as one does, making sure the world is all under control, and one T. Ray walks in.
Oh.
Trey walks in and sits at the table of knowledge and talks about the 16 and it came up in topic about how many times Johnny B. Good has been played by him in clubs around the world. So we were sitting there at discussing the world as one does, and he hasn't got a number for you.
Oh no, the numbers don't even exist.
Yeah. That's
how many times it's been played.
Well, we did mention something up over 100-something thousand, but he then thought about it and thought, no, that's a lot of tinkling.
Oh, perfect.
I better introduce the other bloke.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice.
Yep, fresh off the kerosene canary.
Yep.
Just landed in NZ, the land of the long white cloud, for a week or so. After the Maxi Europeans,
yep,
there you go.
Could speak a bit more about. You might not see my left hand lifted because it's got a Rolex on it. Just saying. Just saying.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we wish. We wish. Here for the week, home next weekend, and then back on the bird again. Off we go.
Right.
It's all happening in the world of yachting.
Cool.
Certainly is.
It's been big. It continues to be big. There's plenty happening in the world of sailing right across the world. There's lots to discuss. I think we're going to be setting a new record tonight, boys. This is
another one.
Yeah, this is something that's never happened before, because we actually have 3 world champions as guests tonight. 3. Now, I mean, it's a pretty big deal having 3 people as guests on Barkarati, I've got to say. No, 3 world champions. But even more importantly, we're actually here because these people are putting their heart and souls into trying to grow the sport. 3 world champions actually spend an awful lot of time coming up with ideas and doing things to make our sport bigger and better. And I was trying to think any sport you could think of in the world where that occurs. And I really don't think that it would occur in any other sport. That's why sailing is such an inclusive sport and such a good sport. We're very close to 2 of these people. They are on guests on episode 180. So that is Cam Owen and Susie Ghent. A lot of love for those 2. But we've all got a young fella I've met a couple of times. Certainly he is, if you're into the Hobie scene, he is definitely a visual person in the Hobie scene. And he's a man that everyone tells me about all the things he does to grow the sport of sailing as well. And he's the Hobie 14 world champion. So welcome also to the show, Paddy Butler.
Thanks for having us, boys.
Hey?
Yeah. Good.
First of all, for both of you, you've done some magnificent decorations in the rooms, knowing we're doing a bit of a record. BP sitting in front of a wall.
It's a green screen, Bicey. It's a green screen.
BP sitting in front of a wall. I've got a fridge in the background. Jordan's got a sliding door. We've been at this game for quite some time, as you could tell.
Yeah. Usually I'm sitting down there on the lounge. Sorry, Suze. I'm usually sitting on the lounge where it's nice and lazy for most of my Zoom calls, but I thought I'd sit and try and get a few of these pictures in.
Yeah, nice. Love your work.
Hobie history.
What were you going to say, Suze?
You are actually just in our lounge room. We didn't bother decorating.
Just always looking at Schmidt.
That is a hell of a lounge room.
I love it.
All those trophies, some Hobie flags. What else we got there?
Paraphernalia is the word you're looking for.
Is there a photo of Jordan's? Is there a photo of Jordan Spencer in the background?
There is too. I can see that from here.
Did you not carry one on the plane with you, Bussy?
I hung it up.
It was looking really bald.
I actually hung it up. I put it in the toilet.
Suze, it's his screensaver on his phone.
Oh, sweet.
Well, Netherlands Yacht Club were throwing it out. It was above the bar, so we grabbed it.
I reckon it would be pretty funny if you got on an Emirates flight in business class and there was a picture of me in the dunny.
Yeah, that would have been in that
Yeah.
time
Be a
after I
challenge.
beat you in the general knowledge competition.
That's it. All right, Paddy, for you, buddy, first off, congrats winning a world championship. That would be pretty exciting for you, mate.
Yeah, it was good. We managed to get a Triple Oz podium back in 23 when we went over there. So myself, my old man, and Rod Waterhouse went over with Kerry, Rod's wife, and yeah, Team Oz. We also had another Aussie, Andrew Boyd, who's now set up in Netherlands in WA. So we had 4 Aussies over there representing Team Australia. And yeah, Triple Oz podium, which wasn't, not a bad way to go over and hang out with the Europeans and give them a big old, this is how we do it in Australia. Time to catch up. So
How, like the 14s are back, mate. Like it's quite interesting. There's a resurgence of the Hobie 14. They're the ones that do the little wheelie when you try and tack, isn't it? Is that right?
Oh, just ask
maybe
Cam.
when you're sailing or Cam Owen.
Yeah, a bit of that.
But all it is time on the water, as always. And there's no more wheelies. And there's one really good picture of me at the top mark in Brisbane where I'm pretty well fully out of the water. I think I've got my leeward rudder in the water and that's it. Coming into the top mark on a very choppy day on Moreton Bay. But if you've ever seen the Hobie 14 wave jumping footage, there's you've seen Hobie 14s get fully out of the air, and quite frankly, I don't think there's old footage from back in the day on the 18s and 16s wave jumping back in the US, but nowadays I don't think there's any other boat that you'd be that game enough to take out in 6 metre swell. That's for sure. The 14 was pretty well dead and gone post 90s or going into the 90s. My old man sold his boat that he won probably, I want to say 7 nationals in a row on a Hobie 14 Turbo before he sold his boat when the 14s were pretty well dead and gone. 16s were where it was at back in the 90s. And this 14 that he basically built in the Hobie factory went around to a lot of different owners. Guy from Queensland had it, Shane Peterson, another Queenslander had it, Rob Andrews. And then I bought the boat back in 2019, actually, it was. And Dad's original 14 was the one that I bought myself for my first boat. So that was pretty cool. But the 14s really kicked off from Fletcher and Georgia, Warren Myers, down in Torquay, Victoria. They went over to Europe, probably early teens, and did a couple of worlds. It never really died off in Europe. The 14s were still pretty big. So Fletcher and Georgia went over and did a few worlds. Fletcher won a couple. Georgia won, I think, 3 women's in a row, world championship. Coming second to Fletcher maybe twice, if I got my data correct. But yeah, they unfortunately didn't come over in 23. Would have been a much tighter, probably top 5 Aussies, that's for sure, if Fletcher and Georgia were there back in Italy 2 years ago. But the 14s has been basically back up and running slowly since 2018. And then the 50th Hobie Cat Nationals, this event here in Jervis Bay, where I'm from, Vincentius Sailing Club, we had 50 Hobie 14s on the start line, and it was well and truly pretty magnificent there. I think these pictures behind me were, I think this one here is, start line of 53 Hobie 14s on it. So it was well and truly back. And it's the type of boat where, I've bought 2 in the last, I want to say month. Bought 2 Hobie 14s in the last month with the idea to then do them up a little bit and sell them to the juniors coming through our club. I spent no more than $900 on 2 of them. Both with registered trailers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's and for when people say sailing's a an elitist type sport. We need lots of money. You buy a Hobie 14 for $300.
You got ripped off.
6-1 mate shit on it, and you're good to go.
We got Susie's for a case of Corona.
Well, there you go. Even better.
Thanks to my mate Grant, he found one in his backyard.
I love it.
Find them in the paddocks. You
just
drive around
found
looking for them in paddocks.
Yeah, it's unreal. Like the quality. Like I'm obviously the West Coast. There's the results there to show how tight the racing is. But to get a state championship winning boat for less than $2,000, which there's been a few of those mid-80s boats, and to get the quality of racing that we have in the Hobie 14 fleet in this country, it's ridiculous. To go to a Worlds, and if we had 10 Australian boats, quote me on it. I reckon we'd fill the top 10 at a World. I mean, if anyone wants to have a go, and maybe we'll get a Worlds here one day, who knows? There's a long time potentially till that'll happen, but we put a bid in a couple of years ago to get a Worlds here one day. Just wait and see. Hopefully.
Right. Let's so that's cool. Like the 14s are back. We know Cam and Suze, the Masters, are 16. We've got Hobies, right? We're talking about a class. The thing I look at from the outside in, there's a couple of things that Hobies do really well, right? One, there's a massive emphasis on fun. Two, there's a location. Like you guys pick really cool locations. And three, I think we spoke on the phone a bit about this, Paddy, but also Suze and Cam, we have a bit of a chat about it. All the different things that you're doing, trying to make the event open for everyone. And, that includes rookie fleets at the Nationals, all the training I think you guys do with new people, the coaching stuff you're doing, the adventure races that you're starting to put together, all these fun regattas that you have. And so I want to touch on all this sort of stuff and talk about how you're doing it and what you're doing. And even, Bicey, I'm not sure if you picked up on this in the notes, but there's, what are they called? What's the little Hobie, the one you get?
Oh, the Hobie Waves.
The Wave.
Wave.
Yeah,
Wave GP? Is that what you were calling it, Paddy?
Yeah, Wave GP.
Wave GP.
Look out.
I won the Wave GP titles at the Club Med in Barbados once.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So just talk about, so I'll throw to Cam and Suze here for a bit. Just talk about what you guys think, what you're thinking about with Hobies and growing the sport. Then I'll throw it back to Paddy. Let's just talk about some of the thoughts that you guys have.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jordan. So look, we're having a really exciting time over here in WA at the moment. There's a lot of interest in the class, and I think, as you said, we're having a lot of fun and sharing knowledge amongst the fleet, and people are really enjoying that. And we're seeing a lot of new people finding secondhand boats and coming and joining in. So we've been doing a few training things. We added our rookie fleet to our state championships this year.
So what happens, Jordan? The yacht club we're at run a learn to sail cat program,
yep.
And they got a few 16s, and they run these programs, and people get out of it, and they're okay to sort of sail around at club level, but they're a bit intimidated by the bigger regattas. So we had our states this year, and we think, how can we get these people involved? And we came up with this rookie idea where we have we bring a coach on or a support boat just for the rookie fleet, and they go out, they race with our fleet, they get a bit of encouragement. The race officer has a bit of support with managing those boats at the tail end, but they get into the community, and that makes them want to be part of it again. So it's just breaking down that sort of fear barrier to get more boats coming to the regattas. And it was so good, and we're rolling it into our nationals this year. We're going to have a rookie fleet in Series 2.
Yeah. So the joy there is to try and take the stress out of it, and having that coaching as well makes them you can give them instant response, I assume.
Yeah. So they had a bit of a chat on the shore before they went out racing, to give them confidence and a bit of understanding of what was going to happen. And then while they're out there, if they're not sure, they know that they've got that coach to come over and give them a hand.
And that's legal.
Yeah, we made it legal.
Yep.
Yeah. And look, we were not really sure how it was going to go in a championship environment, but everyone in the fleet loved it and supported it.
What sort of age group, Suze?
Everything. So we had a few young guys.
Yeah, probably 16, 17-ish. Yeah,
Yep.
and their dad was on the start boat, so he came along. We got another volunteer. It was brilliant.
Yep.
And then there were some more
And then
senior
we had some
people.
older guys as well.
So,
So anything.
do you make the green fleet if you've never sailed cats before and you're a gun monohull sailor, or if you've never sailed before?
Whatever.
Are you going to sign up for the national?
No.
I can say he's lining himself up for an Australian titles here.
No,
Yeah.
not me. I never. It's not about us, BP. It's about the listener. I'm interested. So yeah, so it's people that would be nervous on the start line. So if you're
New to
somebody,
championships.
if you've grown up through sailing, you're not going to be in the green fleet if you've never sailed a cat, because you know what the starting procedure, you know how to play the game, right? So that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
And are they separate starts?
No, all in.
Oh,
All in together.
Yeah.
wow.
That's at the States. At the Nationals next year, we run 2 series at the Nationals. So series, it's a little bit different every year, but this year, Series 1 is all Hobie 16. So we got a really solid base of Hobie 16. So we're just going to do the Hobie 16. And Series 2 is going to be the Hobie 14s. And then we're going to have the rookies, the women's, the youth. And if there's a Hobie 18, they can have a Hobie 18, a Wildcat, a Tiger. So it's open to all Hobies, but being in WA, we don't have the numbers of 18s or Tigers. So we just sort of open it to all of them.
Yep.
And the rookies will just run as part of that second week. So it'll be a bit more of a cruisy week.
Yeah. So for the nationals, the Hobie 16 open fleet with the Open, the Masters and the Grandmasters, that's still separate and unique at a national title level. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've actually done something with the open fleet as well. So we noticed that, the thing we've really always loved about our fleets is it's not always just about the podium, and we never like to just make it about the podium. That gets boring after a while.
Yep.
There's always races within the race going on. So we sort of figured that a couple of mates would be racing each other for a carton of beer at the end of the regatta, who beat who, and all these little championships going on within the fleet. So we thought, well, why not share that around? We've got, of course, there's already age divisions with the series. So we have Open, which is everybody. We have Masters, which is helms over 45.
Yeah, 45 to 55 or something.
Yep, and then we have Grandmasters and Great Grandmasters. But
where does the Grandmasters cut in, Suze, just out of interest?
Asking for a friend.
my friend just called me.
But sadly, with the way the demographics of the fleet are, the ages are just sneaking up. So it's not uncommon to have the Masters winning the Opens and the Grandmasters on the podium even. So
it wasn't spreading the love anymore.
Yeah,
as much
so.
as we wanted.
We've been watching the windsurfer LTs and how they have weight divisions, and Paddy's tried it on the 14s as well. So this year we're throwing in some weight divisions. So Jordan, maybe that might suit
Here
you
we
too.
go.
But,
Here we go.
Yes, so we've decided to have the flyweight, which is the 141 kilos and below. So they're the sort of around the minimum weight, and then the middies. They're 142 to 155, and then the magnums are above 155. So maybe it'll open it up.
If it was in South Australia, it would be the butchers, schooners, and pints.
We should have asked you for help with the name.
Yeah, we struggled with it. Well, it's going to be the Big Mac, the quarter pounder, but we stuck to the magnums.
Can't say that.
So, we're hoping that will give everyone a bit of a crack at it, and it should be a bit of fun. It went down really well at our states, and the 14's similar. There's going to be weight divisions. They're 74, similar sort of thing, 75 to 85 and 85 and above. So Paddy does it a little bit differently. They wait till they've got
I can explain this, yeah. So we've been doing it for the last 2 years, and we will include weight categories even at non-championship events. So there's a big regatta in October. There's Wildcat at Great Lakes. Then there's a 14-foot regatta at Mentoring Park on Lake Macquarie. And if we can get 15 and more boats, I'll go around and take the weights, and we'll do our weight categories, even if there is 15 or more boats. So the way we do it, we split the fleet evenly into thirds. So, and we've played around with setting the weights prior to, so people know what they're aiming for. But what we found with our, like in New South Wales with our group and our sailors, we've been happy to just not actually have a set weight limit. So 15 boats, we'll weigh them evenly. So, one person might miss out on the flea bags, which is the smallest. We've got flea bags, medium rare, cruise controller. And then depending on our weights, if we've got a couple guys over 90, we'll instigate a fat bastards division for the guys 90 and up.
I'm finding this insulting because you're not even getting to normal weights yet, and I'm
normal size human beings come in after the fat bastards.
It's awesome. So we did one. It was 100 kilos and over. So there was one guy from New South Wales. He was about 98. So he carried 2 kilos of lead.
Huge, man.
2 kilos of lead to get into the 100 kilo club. So it's worked really well. And from our last states in Foster, we had 33 boats, I think, roughly 33, and split the weights evenly around the middle. We had roughly 10 or 11 in each group. And yeah, the final results, it was all over the place. Like my mate and I, when my old man won, he was medium rare. My mate and I were flea bags. Then there was cruise controller, Gav Luxton, who was up there. So it was all over. It varies out, and that's where the 14 and then the 16 in the same regard, everyone has their day. The blow, the big boys can really rip in and just sit back and power up and go. But then in the light air, which is where the juniors come in. The kids and the women, they can actually power up the boat in the light air up to 12 knots and really get on trapeze and just start flying ahead of all us. So when we look at a state titles for the 14s or any regatta for the 14s, it's like, everyone has their day. We have a windy regatta, the big boys will go well, and a light air, and the young'uns will go well. So it all balances out really well, which makes it really inclusive and equitable sailing.
I've got this vision, boys. I'd borrow a 14, go to the regatta. It's blowing 40, 45 knots. Paddy's cartwheeling and being blown off the water with all his mates, and I'm still trying to fly a hull. That's what I...
Flea bags are just getting blown onto the beach like Caelan's wing. But,
This is a bit like when Cam and I go out on the 14s. One of us is always having a challenging time and the other one's really happy.
Hey, Suze, just going back, you mentioned before that, you have a race within a race and you put a carton of beer on it or something like that. Is that actually how you brought your 14? You won a case of Corona, then you traded it in on 14?
No.
Yeah, that's pretty
legitimate.
Currency,
boats. Yeah, I like it.
Cool.
Yeah. So we've got an exciting summer coming up in WA this year. Yeah, okay. We're really happy about the schedule.
So what you're alluding to, because there's a few things on the regatta front. So obviously you guys are running the Nationals, which are in Geraldton.
No, they're in Bustleton.
Whoa.
Hey, bossy.
One of the
Check the website, mate.
In Bustleton. Oh, Crayfish Central.
Gateway to the Margaret River wine region.
Wine region and beer.
And surfing.
Sure.
And
so we had this just exact discussion, Jordan, in WA, because of course we all love sailing in Geraldton. We've got a great supportive fleet there.
Yeah.
And we've been travelling down to the southwest quite a bit lately and enjoying the regattas in Bustleton, the Cape Marathon Regatta and Australia Day Regatta. And then every year Geraldton run their annual Batavia Regatta too. So, we really love going to these regional weekend events. They're heaps of fun. And we actually put it to a vote for our members because we were wanting to ensure that our Nationals was held in a place that everybody would want to feel they could go there with their families. experience something different, I guess. And
so it's just not sailing.
Yeah, just not only about the sailing, it's about the whole
good
thing.
spot.
And we didn't want people to get nervous. Geraldton in the middle of summer, even the teams in Geraldton, they don't race.
I reckon you'd get out on trapeze on a 14 in Geraldton.
Guys, I think you need to tell the truth. You did say it's the wine and beer region, so let's just cut the crap.
Actually, the honest truth though, Bustleton, it's got that beautiful, it's all grass along the front. It's this great big, beautiful, long waterway. There's that 2 kilometre long jetty, which everyone can go out and watch. And the only thing you have to negotiate is the flying fish.
Oh, really?
What, flying fish?
Have you not? Oh, there's heaps of flying fish. Yeah, they smelly things too. They're worse than BP after a big night.
I was going to say that was me.
Sorry, BP. I had to throw someone under a bus there, but
all right.
Yeah. So it's a really iconic location, and really looking forward to it. So the other exciting thing for us is we've actually decided we're going to name it Cat Summer in WA this year.
Yeah.
Cat Stevens is playing?
No. There's this little Sail GP thing.
Oh, of course.
So we're the main event, and this is this supporting event a couple of weeks later. So.
That's the little, That's just going to wrap things up.
Yeah, that's right. So people will come over, wear themselves out doing Hobie, and just relax for a few weeks. You're watching Sail GP,
Yep, and then that leads into the F18 Worlds,
Nationals and Worlds
at the end of January.
Wow.
And then to finish it off is Hobie Week at Exmouth, which is just going to be awesome.
Yeah. Right, so you got a bit of driving to do in that, because Bustleton to Exmouth is quite a distance. So there's and for the interstate visitors, so you're going to have to commit, because for the non-Aussies, the nearest town to Perth, which is the capital of Western Australia, is about, for the Americans, 1,500 or 1,600 miles away. It's 2,500 kilometres to Adelaide, which is the next town down the road, basically. It's a drive.
It's a big drive.
It's a fun drive. It's a fun drive across the Nullarbor. And you know what we did this year when we drove across the Nullarbor?
I do.
We had a bar karate marathon. And we can highly recommend.
It's great to see you, by the way. I'm glad to know you didn't fall asleep.
Yeah, no, you're actually better than music somehow.
That's cool.
For driving, so the passenger can easily fall asleep and the driver can easily stay awake. So
whilst we're on that though, 100% get over to West Oz, because there's especially if you're into the cats, it's as you say, cat summer, so it is brilliant. It's great sailing, some of the best sailing in the world, because you're guaranteed wind. So Busso is going to be a fantastic location to sail Hobies. There's no question about that. And even if you're not inexperienced, the wind blows you on shore. So if you have a stuff up, you'll just be blown onto a nice grassy beach. You can beach with a bit of grass, so you'll be able to relax and walk down to the local pub or Tucker.
Shelter Brewery.
Watch out for the 2K jetty.
Yeah, I'm seeing some pretty cool 70s merch with a Terry Toweling hat. I'm seeing it.
I'm hearing you, BP.
We have those.
Yep.
What do you reckon, Boyd?
Don't worry about that.
Oh, I'm there already.
Covered, and we've got the local beer shack down the road covered too.
Oh.
So the unique thing about Bustleton is it's a north-facing bay, and it's it's going to be beautiful, clear water, protected, flat water, lots of breeze. And if you do wash ashore, we're partnering with Shelter Brewing Co. And they're just next to the iconic Bustleton jetty there. So you'll wash ashore with all the tourists, and there'll be a nice cold.
What happened to you today, Vicey? I got washed ashore.
Why have you got a hacksaw on board?
Keep getting washed ashore.
I love it. It's the other thing about your class, the Hobie class, is all actually cat sailing. I shouldn't just limit it to Hobies, but there's a whole bunch of regattas and some of the fun ones coming up. So what you've just talked about is you've created a whole series of events, right, in one location. But the thing your class does is you've got the what do you call it, the national tour, the championship tour you guys have is one thing. And then you've got all these fun regattas. So like the next one coming up's the Bad News Regatta, Baddies Regatta, I think. That's at Currumbin, which is a beautiful part of the world if you're not Australian.
It's fantastic.
It is. So the Currumbin Alley, which is, especially if you go up the valley there, it's just absolutely beautiful. So that's coming up. And I found out, when you started talking to me about that one, Suze, I was going, what's an interesting thing to call a regatta, the Bad News Regatta, but apparently the guy Bob Hughes Bob Bad News Hughes, there's a guy we want to meet, isn't it?
Unfortunately, Bad News isn't with us anymore.
No, I figured.
Yeah, we've got a bit of bad news, Jordan.
Yeah.
The
regatta's in his memory.
Yeah, he lived a pretty hard life, but he was a bit of a Hobie legend and a Currumbin legend, and they run the regatta in his memory, and it's very well supported. It's fantastic. Like the sailing out of Currumbin was huge in the 80s and the 70s. It was a really big thing, but it's got harder and harder with population growth and with council approvals and all that. But they do run this regatta annually in sort of memory of what it was, and that's brilliant. It's so much fun. It's always pretty relaxed on the beach and pretty relaxed on the water. It's awesome.
The Gold Coast Catamaran Club.
Yeah.
I think it started in 64.
If we get 4 races over the weekend, that's perfect.
Yeah.
One race constitutes a series. Excellent. Because obviously it's on the Goldie. There's not a lot of wind that time of the year, but it's a next level event, unlike any other regatta that I've ever been to. That's for sure.
It's and that's 2 weeks away, so it's not. It's we publish.
June long weekend.
June long weekend. So that's straight on. So it's a gorgeous spot. So that's a pretty cool one. Another one is the big thing in cat sailing's the Wildcat Regatta in October, the October long weekend. So you guys do that well. And I think, Paddy, with that, I remember we were talking.
Yeah, we're doing something a little different this year for Wildcat Regatta. So like Wildcat has been 50, I think the 50th anniversary was in 2022, or it would have been 2020. Obviously, it got cancelled that year, and it took a couple of years for them to reignite Paddy with the national parks and everything. But Timmy Hafner, the Commodore at Gold Coast, not Gold Coast, Great Lakes Sailing Club, he did a lot of work. He's a trooper, an absolute trooper of a man, and he got with the help of the club and local council, and they did a lot of work. And Wildcat was back bigger than ever, and we missed it the year after I think 3 years, maybe 2 years it was off. And then 2022 we had to miss out because of the Hobie Worlds in Spain. But then 23, 24, or 23 wasn't on. But last year the Wildcat regatta was truly back, and it was epic. I think we had over 100 catamarans, or maybe just pretty much on the money, 100 catamarans of, all different shapes and sizes. We had a solid group of 14s there, which myself, Rod Waterhouse, MB, a lot of New South Wales sailors were sailing there. We had there was F18 state titles, so I think there was 30, just shy of 30 F18s plus the F16s. There was a big fleet of Taipans, and then everything in between. A classes, so I think Bundy and Adam Beatty were there. Maybe Stevie Bruin as well in the A classes, I believe. But it was an epic event, and the best part with Wildcat is you're staying there on Wallace Lake on the shore. Literally, you're sleeping 5 meters from your boat. It's really, really cool. So this year and then we had our state titles there in February. New South Wales Hobie 14 and our women and youth state championships in February at Wildcat Great Lakes. Sorry, and it was that was a beautiful event. We had it all to ourselves, which was nice. Plenty of room compared to Wildcat, but leading into Wildcat this year in October, we're doing something a little bit different. We've spoke to Australian Sailing about it, so we're all good there. New South Wales Youth Sail is over the October long weekend, and all my years of when I was a junior sailing the Hobie 16 on the youth campaign back when the 16 was the Australian sailing, well, the youth catamaran class. We had heaps of 16s sailing back then. That's what Jason and Lisa went through before they jumped onto the 17, and that came into play. So we would never go to New South Wales Youth Sail because we were always racing the 16s at Wildcat. So they never had catamarans there. When the 15 came in, we sailed 15s at Wildcat 1 year, and then 2 years after, the 15s sailed at Youth Sail and didn't get to go to Wildcat, which was a bit of a shame because, if you're sailing catamarans and wanting to, go to that next level of racing, you might as well race the best cat sailors in the country rather than, play around with yourselves. So you learn a hell of a lot when you're in that sort of fleet. So we're putting on multi-hull youth sail this year, looking for primary sponsors at the moment to support the event. So Australian Sailing's New South Wales Youth Sail runs over the October long weekend with a coaching clinic 3 days prior. So what we are doing on behalf of the New South Wales Hobie Association is my role as president, and partnering with Great Lakes Sailing Club, we're putting on the first multi-hull youth sail. So open to all classes of catamarans, multi-hulls. We are encouraging as many kids to come along, bring your own cat. We will look at having some boats there as well. We want to include a green fleet program at the same time. So Great Lakes have a few BICs. Mentoring Park have a couple too, which they'll bring up. But we'll have myself and a bunch of other qualified coaches and instructors that will come up and be able to share their knowledge. So it'll be a really cool event run concurrently with the official youth sail event. And what I said to the guys at Australian Sailing here in New South Wales ACT, I just said, look, I want to see cat sailors have the same opportunities as our dinghy and skiff counterparts at the end of the day, because there's no cat sailors have been going to this coaching clinic pretty much ever. So we want to provide our juniors that are coming through with the same opportunities. So this is, Cam and Susie have done a lot of coaching clinics through Hobie Cat WA over there, and we've done a few coaching clinics here in New South Wales, down here where I'm from at Vincentia, with a more Hobie 14 centered sort of coaching clinics. But multi-hull youth sail will be open to all classes of catamaran. We'll have a bunch of experienced cat sailors there volunteering, plus qualified coaches and instructors, and really looking at a fun event that focuses on building skills as sailors, but really developing that camaraderie with the group of kids that we'll have.
Hey, Paddy, I wouldn't be surprised if old super coach here, Jordan, I just jumped in before him, puts his hand up. Because one thing that's happened here over the last couple of years, and I think Cam and Susie, you're actually to gain credit here, bar karate's come a long way. I don't think I've said catwhacker for about 18 months now. And by the sounds of it, Paddy, and by the sounds of it, Cam and Susie, all these, I've got to be a little bit careful if I come to one of these events. We might be back on track.
I actually had an idea for you guys, though.
Well, go on.
I know
please
you've
do
been
tell.
talking about free sausage sizzles to, not free, but fundraising sausage sizzles when the three of you were going to get back together in the same place.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think that, you've got a great opportunity here to come to Bustleton at the end of the year.
Yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Buster. Well,
we'll bring it
Bar karate live.
Yeah.
I am actually pretty good on the sausage sizzler.
Yeah, and then you can raise some money down there for the juniors in the
I love
Pelicans and the
I love it.
125s and things.
I have noticed, Suze, whilst you and Cam doing this interview, it looks like you've got a little charcuterie board just out of shot underneath there where you keep taking little nibbles from.
Slowly snakes.
Yeah, we did go for a sail before, so we like to eat snakes when we're sailing.
Think about, I do want to say though, if you think about it, like I'm glad Bicey finally said the word catwhacker because I just wanted to, I wanted to feel relaxed a bit. But if I was to rush out and buy a Hobie, I could, in 2 weeks, I could be going to the Bad News Regatta at Currumbin.
Oh, wait, you can come to Geraldton next weekend with us.
Then I could drop down to Wildcat Regatta, which is on Foster's Lake, which is just glamour. Yeah. And then you've got the journey past, you could go out to South Oz. You could stop at South Oz, do a bit of sailing, and then into Busso for the Hobie Nationals.
It's almost too
easy.
easy.
You could do a full lap around Australia.
It's a glamour run.
Just whack her on top of the van.
That's it.
And don't forget Exmouth.
Stop talking about it. Just do it.
in April.
Exmouth in April, right? So
Exmouth.
We're on permanent tour. Or if you happen to have
Queensland.
like Greg Torpy, if you're listening to me now, there you go. We should get Torpy on a 14. That'd be hilarious. He's a good man. He could sail around Australia on his boat, his cat with a cat on top.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do that. Like there could be people
like the New Caledonians when they come to our nationals, the Queensland Nationals. They actually sailed.
They pull their boats
New
apart and sail
Caledonia
over.
with the Hobie 16s on board.
Why doesn't the world exist like this? This is just this is genius. I love it. So
we're actually thinking that when we eventually retire and get our big cruising catamaran and come and race you on the big cruising catamaran.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll probably get a Hobie Wave.
That's going to be a tender.
As a tender.
A Hobie Wave as a tender.
Perfect.
This is good. Yeah. So this comes
with
back.
Engine on the back.
We have to. Well, we've got to talk about this because one of the fun things that is going on. So, the Hobie Class. I know we're focusing on, but I'm trying to throw ideas, or we're trying to throw ideas out there that change the game. And one of the things that they do is, there's things like karaoke in the Hobie Class, or the the beach trolley racing. I think you guys do all that.
Well, look no further than Totally Immersed TV, our channel.
Yeah.
So going further than I've sort of been documenting with the help of many members from the association. The last few regattas on tour.
Yes.
The Worlds in Spain was fully documented. I documented our journey in Italy for the Worlds, and most state titles will have live running commentary.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, pretty much. But there's a bunch of different weird and wacky things that we like to do at regattas, and that's one of the big things with the class is really encouraging the camaraderie and the competition on shore as well. So Jeff Rowden, a guy from Victoria, is really good for the weird and wacky games that come out of Vic. So karaoke was this year. We did, AFL goal shooting a couple of years ago. We've done beach wheel, so catamaran beach rollers. We've done bench pressing competitions, all those. He built the go-kart, beach wheel, the bloody go-kart thing we had at Macrae. We did wheelbarrow racing. So we had one person holding the axle of the roller and the other guy holding the legs and pushing along. So doing like 50 metres one way, 50 metres the other way. So 100-metre sprint. You have to tack around the top mark, a little turning mark at one end. And that got pretty physical, actually. That was
I was going to say
a few of the boys, but
couple of cans in, you'd be pretty aggressive.
Well, most of us were a few cans in at the time. I didn't do it. I was running the show, so that was nice. I didn't have to hurt anything. But we had an obstacle course in Port Melbourne 2-3 years ago. So yeah, there's a lot of fun things happen, not just on the race course. And I'm a teacher as a day job, so I brought a big Lego STEM kit to Foster in February. So all the old boys.
Did all the locals jump in as well?
No, God, no. They're gone. So we had like a little competition building a wind-powered, which is something I've done with my students at work, is build little wind-powered cars out of Lego. And we were using old empty beer cans as the body and putting Lego wheels and making a sail out of paper, and did a competition with a little blower who could get their blow cut the furthest. And, we've got vouchers from Hobie, so whoever won gets a voucher. And leftover vouchers in April when we had the combined high school regatta. So this all-school sailing event that's at Belmont on Lake Macquarie. Wind got called off that day, so there was no breeze, so it got called off. So we went go-karting. Still had $100 worth of vouchers left. So, the kids who won go-karting got a $50 voucher to Hobie, which was pretty cool.
What doesn't Pat do? That's what I want to know.
That's good.
Well done.
It's good. I mean, the other thing that Pat is doing is he's doing, from what I'm told, you go on a weekly basis, you got all these school groups and young kids coming down and you're having fun on the Hobie waves. And Sue said you even do something called water slides on the Hobie waves.
Oh, you've never seen it before? That's half the fun. Waves aren't fun unless it's like 25 knots or 0 knots, 25 knots. That range is like, don't bother going out. So when it's like, when it's really light, we take the waves out, tip them over, jump them off. So like I've let out, I had a bunch of kids come through our club, Vincentian Sailing Club, and building up their fear and courage of tipping the boat over and learning how to get it back up. And when they learnt how to tip over and right the boat themselves, I was like, all right, today's lesson, this is after school little low-key program that we've done. No wind one afternoon. I was like, all right, looks like a good day for it. So we paddled the wave out. Like, we're going sailing. There's no wind. I'm like, we're going sailing. So we paddled the wave out, tip it over. I climbed up the top, jumped off, and then swam to shore and then left them there for like an hour.
Right.
And I sat on the beach with their dads and talked rubbish and drank some sports drinks. So it was good. So we tip the waves off, jump off them, and you get all the way to the front, turn into a water slide. But we took about, I think, the 50th Nationals in JB. We went out after a long distance race, I think 15 of us on a Hobie getaway. And we tipped that over and jumped off for 45 minutes. We were all in our 20s having the best time of our lives.
There you go. It's cool. I wonder, I've got to ask before we come back to the fleet stuff, but I do have to ask, there's a couple of classes that are still going really strong. And if I'm honest, in the dinghy classes and, where there's great participation, a lot of fun happening, I'd say the taser class is another one that does it really well. They're the ones that have mixed numbers, equal mixed numbers, male, female. And I'm wondering if there's a secret sauce there.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'd get bored if it was just sailing with a same sort of demographic every day. It's not much, not much diversity in it. You're always going to do the same thing. But when you have a whole big group of different people, I think there's more opportunities to, definitely more opportunities to grow the class, that's for sure. And meeting new people is always a big thing. You're always, Kim and Susie have done it. They're getting new people turning up to the racing every day. And as we said, there's always mini competitions inside the racing in that sense, because the fleet is so diverse.
I think it's
whether
a great
it's
thing
age
about
or gender
sailing.
or race or
Yeah, the great thing about sailing is that it doesn't matter what size you are or how old you are, you can find your people, you can find your boat, you can, find your local club where you've got a group of people you enjoy and a boat you enjoy, and everyone can have a good time.
Yeah.
Tasers are like the Hobie show. You see fathers and sons or husbands and wives.
Yeah.
It's a good mix of, it just brings the family together rather than having kids sailing in the morning and parents sailing the other. It's just it's a community thing.
Yeah.
I think it helps to make a class stronger.
Yeah.
And the young guys, if they can race against the adults too, then they can learn off them.
A lot,
There's that sharing of information going around, and we like it. There's a lot of classes. The Mirror's starting to get a lot of strength over here in WA, and that's a similar thing. So our mate James with his son Harry just won the Mirror Worlds. And, it's a father and son team on a mirror. And then we see, two teenagers in a mirror together. And, it's great. It's good.
That's
and
cool.
the boats
The rainbow can't be too far away, Bicey.
yeah.
You took the words right out of my mouth, BP.
Well, I had to get in
The
there
rainbow
because
didn't pave this. If
We
the
were all thinking
Roma
it. We
didn't
were all
pave this
thinking it.
path back in the 50s, nothing else did.
Yeah, set the pace.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So like what I respect, and we pull this together based on conversations I've been having with each of you, and the other one I want to mention is the scavenger hunt, the adventure race idea.
Oh.
Like, I think this is just absolute genius because. You can, like if I was organising one, you don't have to, you can go whichever direction you want, but you've got to check off all the key checkpoints. And so there's navigation elements, there's logical thought. It's not just fleet racing and match racing and all that sort of stuff, but you're still out there sailing. And so doing different things, because if you just race normal races and it's the same people winning every week, the people at the back suddenly just stop getting interested unless you make it fun for them. That's my theory. And so
100%.
Either coach them or you make them. Everyone has to be a hero at some stage, but doing different things like the scavenger race, or what you're saying, scavenger, Paddy. But
yeah, like that's one of the things we're going to try to do at youth multi-hull youth sail, my sail, which John Forbes coined the term. My sail is an acronym. My sail 24. Multi-hull youth sail. Doing this scavenger hunt thing. So, like, there's these adventure races which my old man's a fiend for. Like, you do a run, kayak or canoe, bike ride, running, trail running, and you got to go to checkpoints, around a national park or whatever it is. My old man's done a couple of them, and my sister. But yeah, trying to do the same thing, but with sailing. So they've got to, sail from A. You have 5 check marks. They got to go to A, then to B, then to C, D, E. And you give different routes to different teams depending on how many numbers we have. But doing the same thing, they get a checkpoint. They got to sail to the coordinates or wherever it is. Like having a support boat there is a big one. But yeah, I've been wanting to try it here in Vincenia a fair bit in the bay. We just haven't got around to doing it yet. Just with numbers and support boats, but the concept's there, and we'll have the ability to do it at MySail, especially with the safety net of Wallace Lake being quite shallow, and visibly you can see from side to side, so it makes it really, really beneficial there. So yeah, and turning it into a race, because at the end of the day, when 2 boats going in the same direction, it's a race. So encouraging the racing aspect for the kids, and the idea that there is a competitive level to the sport. As much as it is, going on an adventure, there is that competitive level aspect of competitiveness that's a part of it, and need to give these juniors the idea that that is sailboat racing. You're just doing it a totally different thing. And, we're going to have mixed cats, so take time, screw it on yardstick. It all balances out pretty well in the end. So that's one of the little things I want to trial at this event, at this clinic. So yeah, it'll be lots of fun. But we've been doing a lot of long distance racing in the class here in New South Wales, mainly here in the bay, in Jervis Bay. We have a bunch of cardinal marks, so racing between the cardinal marks as a bit of changing up from the monotony of racing around the cans, windward leeward. So rather than up and down, doing a bit of long distance. I was going to say a bit more reaching, and
I was just going to say the marathons are getting a bit of effort and a bit of attention around the place, like the Capel Sound Regatta, Capel Sound Invitational down in Mornington Peninsula. That's a similar sort of thing where they get everyone just to reach along the peninsula around Rosebud and Rye. We do the Geograph Bay Marathon. We're going to have a marathon in Exmouth. So they're making, and Paddy does them around in Vincenia a lot. They are making them really interesting and a bit of fun, something a bit different.
So we've tied it into the overall. So like for our Jervis Bay Classic, our club regatta, we had Anzac Day. We did a long distance race. So that's first race of the series, and followed by 2 days of short course. We had the Vipers turn up. We had 16s, Hobie 18s, Hobie 14s, Murray cats. Yeah, we had a big fleet, but it worked. Yeah, Nacka 5/8 worked really well, as long as everybody knows where they're going. That's our only little tweak we need to make sure the support boats know where they're going and lead boats. There's always wee room to work, and we did the same thing for our state titles. In Foster, we had a long distance race on the Friday Arvo, starting at like 6 o'clock because it was daylight savings. Start at 6, sail down to bottom of the lake, and sail back up. And we started on a reach as well. On the 14s, which was, sail GP style. And that was like, got it back in and everyone was buzzing after it. Having never done a reaching start really before, everyone was real nervy. And then when we actually did it, it was, it was really, really fun. So that's where we're leading into trialling more with our wave racing later this year.
It's cool. Like, it's all different, right? And like, you don't have to worry about leading everyone, Pat, because it's adventure racing. So as soon as you say adventure, they've got to start thinking for themselves, right? So that's part of it. We're sort of coming to the end of our time. I do want to highlight a couple of things about the Hobie Nationals in Busselton, not Geraldton. So if you go to Geraldton, good windsurfing, and you'll probably find some great lobsters and stuff, but you're not going to find the Hobies. So turn left from the airport, is it? Instead of going right, I got it right?
Yeah,
that's right. Drive
just
across
turn left.
Country, turn left.
Couple hours, you're there.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's easy little drive.
You got you're going to be like, we can watch it if say despite all the calls and emails, I didn't turn up, right? No, sorry, it's just a hypothetical.
Are you calling it a peter out, Jordan? Are you calling the peter out already?
Just another Barkarati promise, Bossy.
No. Down under sail, you're going to be. We're going to be able to watch it, aren't we?
Yeah. So the Down Under Sail team are locked in.
Yeah.
To do the on-water media for us, which is going to be great.
Yep.
And so you'll be able to watch it. So the idea is that you come in from the water and you can stand around the club there and watch it. And
while you're having shelter.
If you forgot to come to the event, then you'll be able to watch it too.
And
forgot.
If you're part of a family, right, that into the Hobie family, and you're going to come along, and your partner's always out sailing, and you don't go sailing, and you're going to miss out, and you do want to watch it. Well, that jetty is just unreal because you can see pretty much the whole course from both sides.
It's a really, really long jetty too. It's known for that. It's a famously long jetty, and there's a train.
There is a train out.
Walk out to the end, you can catch the train.
And
I think there's a little aquarium at the end as well. If you
some people swim around it.
Tourism things. Yeah.
Jeez, I wish I knew there was a train. The train would have been easier than swimming around it.
Remember the old horse and cart at Victor Harbour? Maybe we could man the horse and cart and ferry people out at the end.
How good would it? It's fantastic. Like, you guys are doing cool stuff. Again, the Hobies, you seem to be having a lot of fun. Like as Paddy says, he does totally immersed TV, so he's just throwing his life, heart, and soul into this. It's kind of like Barkarati. You don't make money out of it. You're doing it to promote the sport, but you've got a major championship coming up as well, and there's a great lead up to it. You'd be mad not to attend. I think the gist of what we're trying to get to. Is that right, Cam and Sue?
Yeah. And look, if you do see the Nationals and you watch it on your TV and you decide you really should have gone, there's one more opportunity over here in WA in the same year. You can come to Hobie Week in Exmouth. And that's going to be a lot of fun too. So we're going to have the Round the Boys State Championship racing on the Easter weekend out in front of the yacht club there, get the racing done. And then we've got a week of marathon sailing, whale shark tours.
I was just going to say the whale sharks.
Out the manta rays,
whale
sharks.
We're going to do we're hoping to do a marathon around the Northwest Cape. So we'll be out. Should be good fun.
Yeah. There's some very passionate volunteers up there too, and they're really looking forward to hosting the Hobie fleet.
Oh, volunteers! Hey,
very exciting. And while we're on the topic of volunteers,
you're so clever.
It's been National Volunteer Week, right? So big shout out to all the volunteers for our sport all around the nation.
Nice words.
I wonder, on the volunteers, you look at what was it? We've got 300 and something clubs around Australia. Geez, there must be some volunteers involved.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And that's what our clubs basically thrive on and their existence. So concur, Suze. Good shout out to all our volunteers in the yachting community.
I do want to say, if you're an overseas listener, Google Bustleton, have a look at some of the images, and then Google Exmouth and have a look at some of the images. Or Currumbin. You know, like these places that we're talking about. Jarvis Bay is just as, I mean, just where the places we're all talking about to go sailing are just gorgeous, right? You've got great wind. You're going to have a great time. So I'm certain there'd be cats for charter. There's plenty of cats floating around. So basically, you know, if you're in another country and you want to come over and do the nets, like this is, as Paddy said, they've applied for the Worlds but haven't necessarily happened yet. So just come down to Oz and suss it out, because you would have an absolute ball.
We've already got our first international. We've got a Canadian, Dan Borg, for 14s. He's coming over.
Oh, Canadian. Northern Australian. Loving it.
Northern Australians popping up.
Yeah. And big shout out to Team Europe. We want to see you there too. Look, there hasn't been any Hobie 16 Worlds announcement yet, so they're very welcome to come to the Australian Nationals. It is like doing a Worlds. You know, we'll have some top sailors there, and Camo and I are actually heading over to Mexico soon too, to spread the word there too, and try and entice
some of those South Americans.
2019 world champion. We'll see if we can get him over here.
Wow.
And maybe a few other
Let's
teams.
get that barbecue sorted out so we
so
can go some sausages.
Yes.
And we'll be right.
Yep.
Yes. Well, we're going to Cancun for our Mexican regatta, so that's another good spot where Hobies go.
Is that where you got arrested, boss?
Nah, not quite arrested, but put it this way, it was about 25 years ago and it was spring break. So,
yeah, good times.
I dare not go back.
Good times.
Can we pretend that we don't know you?
Dear. All right. Look,
there's still pictures on telegraph poles of his face, wanted dead or alive.
As long as they're not in the toilets, there will be.
Yeah, that's the difference between Boss and me. Look, how cool is this? Like, you guys doing amazing things, organising these great regattas in great locations, and there's people have got no excuse, like to step up and, you know, even recognising volunteers. Class act there. Well done. So I just want to say, Hobies, I'm gonna have a deeper look. You know, I've sort of got some friends who sail Hobies, but you know, it's very cool. You guys are awesome, is what I'll say. That class, your class, strikes me as an awesome class.
And we did check for you, because we know that Jack's been looking at the Tasars as well, and it's not a clash this year. So you will both be happy. You'll both be able to try both classes.
Yeah.
It's good to see that. It's good to see the world's looking after you, Jay. You're just organising your regattas for you. We know you're a busy man.
It's not me they're after. They want my wife to turn up. She's a lovely human being, and everyone likes her. So.
And I reckon BP and Bicey might be able to sail together.
Yeah, you're a nice couple.
Yeah.
Don't know about that.
We clash on the football field, put it that way.
Yeah. He goes for Port and I goes for Swans, and we both had a great weekend. So, you know.
All right. Let's not drag it down to footy. All right, kids. We might call it there. A good chat. Appreciate you taking time to talk to us. And, you know, I'm impressed is all I'll say. The class, you know, to have 3 world champions just talking so much about trying to grow the sport is just, it's a class act is all I'll say. You guys are great.
No, thank you, team. Yeah, it'd be great to have a yarn another time, that's for sure. But for anyone out there who's keen to see what we do, just, you know, look us up on YouTube, Totally Immersed TV. That's all the fun and games and the behind the scenes. You meet all the faces in the fleet, and basically cat sailing in general there. And then, our website for the Australian National Hobie Class Association, that's pretty well loaded with all the news and the events and what's coming up. And there's links there to take you to all the state sites, and yeah, plenty of news out there and information. So there's always something happening.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having us, guys. It's really great to hear your fun and passion and enjoyment for the sport too, and just sharing it around. It's a beautiful thing.
What's going to happen on your next drive across the Nullarbor when this episode comes up? Are you going to just fast forward, or are you going to listen to it?
Oh, fast forward. Pat, we've already heard Paddy's story.
Of course not. No. Awesome.
My turn to do it. Drive across the Nullarbor.
We enjoy the banter throughout the weeks too. So keep it coming. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just a little disclaimer there: every time we email you, we've disqualified ourselves from the Hobie competition, okay? Because we are already mates with the team.
Copy that.
Oh yeah, the hoodies. Get a hoodie.
The hoodies. Get your hoodie.
I love it. Jackie was walking. I'll come back to Jackie was walking around Sanctuary Cove with that on yesterday. Actually, it went well. Yeah, very cool.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Well, that was pretty cool. I genuinely don't think that you'd ever have 3 world champions on talking about how to grow a sport rather than just talking about how to be, all the best
world champions,
to win the Rolex.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the class doing lots of different things. I did notice. I sort of mentioned the Taser class having male, female. I did notice they're doing a whole sort of new form of sort of hybrid training. They're starting to call it, where they're doing all these sessions. And then, they're live streaming as they're doing. So you do them live, or you can watch them on the stream, and doing that.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So that's pretty cool. They're also, boys, got their nationals at Wallaroo.
Oh,
coming up. Not bad. So Wallaroo, if you haven't been there, that's pretty much the top of the golf. In sort of, is it into the other side? Do we call it?
Yeah, no, it's the other side.
Yeah.
Other side.
Yeah, but. Beautiful.
Of South Australia, that is international guest, so
Yeah, South Australia. And
Spencer Golf.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, Jordan Golf. It is absolutely gorgeous over there. Really, it's like one of these things, all these going to these smaller Aussie towns, you got your pub, you got your caravan park, you got your beach, you got your sailing club, That's basically...
And a jetty.
That's exactly right.
Well, Wallaroo now has the marina. And also has the ferry. So, yeah.
Yeah. But that'd be another cool regatta to do. There will be a wing sail floating around for somewhere in the region.
Depending on the day.
It's caught right up in the little gap.
So depending on the day, if it is windy, it will be making its way around quite rapidly. Otherwise, it'll just be sort of hanging out in the corner. So Kalen Howard, he's still out there looking for that wing foil sail that he lost. Lucky he has got all the Radix nutrition on board, so he can survive out there when I know he'll get
out in the bush trying to find the wing sail
on his Defender. There's an easy way to find him. Just follow the oil to find Callum. But we know he's surviving because he does have all the Radix nutrition on board. He's got the whey protein. That's 8 different unique flavors, complete amino acid profile. So he's loaded up and safe. We don't have to worry about him. And if you want to feel the same, you can just jump onto the Radix Nutrition website, use BarCarate as your discount code, and you'll get a discount on us, and we get a tiny bit of money from it as well, is the honest answer. We give it pretty much all straight back to you guys. So there you go. Other news, boys. Should we start doing some of the other stuff?
Yeah. What's on?
Okay.
What is the other news, Jordan Spencer?
Well, events. There's the new Southern Cross Series, boys. Have you seen this one?
Do tell.
So Australia, the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia has launched the Southern Cross Series. So what they're trying to do is create an event. It's an offshore event. So it starts with Cabbage Tree Island Race. So they're basically taking some existing rates and compiling them together, but one's a pretty new race which we backed in hard. So Cabbage Tree Island Race is 5th of December. It's a pre-event for the Hobart, 172 nautical miles, heads up to Port Stephens, basically, Cabbage Tree Island. So straight up the coast and then back down, effectively overnight. Then the Hobart, and then the new Trans-Tasman race, which is, we've had one race of so far on the 27th Feb, which is the Sydney to Auckland race, 1,270 nautical mile race across the channel. So they're calling it the Southern Cross Series. Must be so. This will be your first time, and hopefully they can get a few more entries. So that's one of the things that's happening. You guys hadn't heard about that? You've been too
Not
busy.
of that.
Okay.
I must admit, as opposed to the Southern Cross Cup, which used to exist back in the day.
Exactly. That's what I thought it was when I saw it. I thought, oh yeah, that's not you.
Thought they were sort of starting to piggyback the Admiral's Cup to sort of bring it all back to how it used to be back in the good old days.
But that's that's around the Cairns event. Basically, that was.
Well, they include an offshore, but yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hobart. Was it the Hobart or had a separate one? I can't remember. But basically, it was in the lead up to Hobart.
Yes,
correct.
Yes.
But this is all offshore, so that'll be interesting. Speaking of around the Cairns, the Super Yacht Regatta in Costa Smeralda, that's on starting in a day or two. So that'll be a good one. Super yachts, if you've got your own super yacht, just rush out. They've all been quite busy, just doing the maxi Euros, but the super yachts in a lovely part of the world.
Yeah, just park her up there down in the beautiful Costa Smeralda and get out there and have a good time.
Love it.
Just have a little waddle around.
On the other extreme, though, if you don't own a super yacht, and maybe you've got a dinghy. Maybe you've got a trailer sailor or something along those lines, a cat. Brisbane Valley Sailing Club's event coming up on the Wyvenhoe Marathon. That is 7th, 8th of June.
Yeah. Saw this one. This looks like a fun one. This is it's quite sort of relevant to the discussion we've just had.
It is. It's like you're camping on a lakeside.
Bit of adventure.
There's nothing around, so you bring all your gear. I think they have a canteen. They'll be doing a bit of food and stuff for you. But
a few volunteers making some sangers.
That's it. Yeah. And so, you spend the weekend hanging out and camping and enjoying a bit of a chat and going for a sail, bit of a chat and going for a sail. So, yeah,
bring a bit of a fire and a couple of tinnies.
Run what you brung. That's it. And just have a lovely way to spend the weekend. So that is definitely on the cards. But, yeah, we're definitely interested to that. So something for everyone on that one. I think we covered off everyone, didn't we?
Well, the reality is at this time of year, there's so many different regattas going on. There's some ORC racing going on in the Poker Rolls.
Yep.
There's 6 metres sailing in Palma. There's a bunch going on. Well, we'll talk about in prep for Duralia next week.
Mm-hmm.
But, she's all on in Europe land.
Yeah.
Not to mention other places around the world.
Cool. All on. Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week, presented by our friends at Hobie. There's a couple of good ones here.
I got a few I can mention. TikTok.
That's exactly where I was going to go. Yes.
Well, it's all happening.
We've got a new IT manager.
We have got an IT manager. We have got a new.
Does that mean we're putting stuff on TikTok?
Well, it just means we've sort of managed to link it all together. So instead of one thing happening somewhere and not knowing where it goes, it's all going together. It's actually managed.
I'm still confused, but anyway.
Don't worry, I am too. Don't worry.
Anyway, I saw TikTok and I thought someone's trying to convince me to buy a watch. But anyway, so apparently we're on TikTok. We're doing stuff.
2 hands in the face on this one. Yeah,
we've got our first like. We've got our first like, and it was a bit of a celebration. Trust me.
Okay. I couldn't watch it, BP, because I haven't got the app on my phone, so I'll have to.
I put it on. It got linked directly to Facebook as well, so you're right.
Technology. All right. Now, obviously, what we do with Hobie, who sponsor this episode or this segment, is if you send us something and we judge it to be the best communication we've got from anyone, doesn't matter where it came from, but basically emails are the fastest way. Cheers at barkarate.com. Cheers at barkarate.com. You'll get a couple of $100 voucher. If you do want to support Hobie, they're doing some great corporate merch. So they've got a really good, strong program doing that, and the material on the top. So if you went out and bought our Barkarate UV top that you can buy off their website, that material is just the bee's knees, boys. I'm sure you'd all agree. So if you want to jump on that, that's good. We do have a pretty couple of, we got, as Bicey said, the TikTok emails were pretty big, but we've got an email from I don't want to say the name. I'll read the email and just have a little bit of a laugh. Okay, thanks for mentioning my YouTube channel in your recent episode with Ryan Veal, as well as the one last year with Ella Hibbert, episode 260 from memory, and in episode 292 with Sandy Higgins. Despite being mentioned on 3 different episodes, you still haven't pronounced my name right. So I've included a link I found online on how it's said. I haven't opened that link. I refuse to say. I thought I would just explain why I'm working so hard to make these YouTube videos. Like bar karate, I'm trying to promote the sensational sport of sailing. I grew up obsessed with sailing, and like you all would, I remember coming home from school, running to the mailbox on the 24th of every month to see the next edition of Australian Sailing had arrived, particularly the April edition, because it had the roundup of all the off-the-beach nationals. I absolutely remember doing all that. Since the demise of the great magazine and many others like it, I've often wondered what I would watch after school if I was born 2 decades later. So it's super cool coincidence. If I wasn't reading Australian Sailing after school, I was on rowanveal.com waiting for next Monday's update or falling asleep next to my Rowan Veal posters. I had the full collection, White Knuckle Express, at the Worlds discussed on the last episode, Lord of the Wings, signed by Rowan himself, and Ronston Stealth Moth one. Anyway, whilst there are hundreds of channels on YouTube showing bikini-clad people cruising around the tropics, I felt sailing lacked relatable content for the boats themselves. For example, if you're a teenager into cars, you can watch Mighty Car Mods, and there you buy some nugget off Facebook. Do it up in their sheds whilst eating kebabs, then take it to the track and flog the thing. So I've set about to make Mighty Car Mods, but for boats. So far, I've featured, in addition to the 12-foot skiff, 4 falling moths. Some of them went up to the loads of a normal-sized human, RIP, including one I got for $100, a Musto skiff I borrowed for the Nationals, a super rare Bethwaite high-speed Project Timeman that some bloke was selling for just $150, and most recently even a rarer 14-foot Roma cruising dinghy with the optional stern castles that I'm planning to sail with my 2-year-old son once I fit a broken B14 Masters bowsprit. It helps that I work for Ronston as my day job, with AM being a fantastic supporter of what I'm doing. As you can imagine, many videos are discussed over lunch with friend of the show and occasional 5-0 skipper Ian String Taylor, as well as my other friends at work. Keep up the good work. It gives me something to listen to while I'm sanding cheap and weird boats in the middle of the night. Thanks, Tom Stutchbury.
No, you've got it wrong.
Stutchbury.
Ready?
Yep.
Here we go. This is from... I don't know, some site. What did he send through?
Yeah.
Stutchbury.
There you go.
Did you get that?
Yeah,
Stutchbury. And you got to say it with an American accent. So well done, Tom. Stutchbury.
How do you say the first name?
Tomasino.
Well, there you go.
Tomo.
No, good on you, Tom. Good comms.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good comms. Yeah. And doing good stuff. Like, as he said, he's having a grand old time. He's spending the least amount of money possible and going sailing. So, yeah, he's showing you can do it. So, good on him. Tom Stutchbury Sailing, his YouTube channel. If I did it properly, Tom, no, we wouldn't have something to talk about.
Nailed it.
There you go. What else? Oh, this is a good one, boys. Can anyone open the one from Kyle Harkis? Like, it's not launching for me.
Long-time listener, first-time emailer. Love the podcast. Thought I'd email as we've pretty huge summer here in the Orkney Islands for sailing and for sport. So Orkney Islands is the north of Scotland. This isn't the part of the email. Because it would take us a while to get through it. But basically, Kyle is talking about a bunch of ilkers ready for the games, the Island Games, which is between many different island groups, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, to Orkney and Shetland and further afield. It's Europe's largest multi-sport event in 2025. Over 2,000 competitors are expected, plus spectators, and I somehow managed to get myself into the Orkney sailing team. So that's coming up in Orkney. That could be, I'm just trying to imagine, like, sailing up there with the tides. Well, understanding the accents, one. The tides, the winds. It could be a hell of a bloody show.
But I've never heard of the Island Games. Have you guys ever heard of that?
I never heard of the Island Games.
This is a game changer. Like, I'm just trying to think what island chain?
Kangaroo Island.
Kangaroo
team
Island.
could go.
I mean,
we could represent Kangaroo
Australia
Island.
could go.
oh, we're an
We
island.
are an island. We
Yeah.
are an island.
Probably one of the most
Rottnest.
most thoughtful islands in the world. Out of New Zealand, North Island and South Island.
Yeah,
And South
Put some
Island.
thought into those names.
Yeah, that's Kiwi honesty right there. We've got, well, where I live, there's Old Woman Island. Can you imagine turning up and saying I'm from Old Woman Island?
Yeah.
But Kangaroo Island, it'd be the best one out of the lot, I reckon, because, a bit Aussie, and just saying I'm from Kangaroo Island, that'd go down well. But, yeah, never heard of it, but good on you. Thanks so much for sending that through, Kyle. It's,
Thanks, Cole, and good luck in the Ilka.
yeah.
Or as we used to call them in the old days, the laser.
There you go. Very cool.
It's hot time with Bice.
Makes me laugh every time.
Oh, it does. I was only thinking about it the other day.
Beauty. I guess the biggest news of the week, boys, just in Cup World, a couple of the press releases that came out.
What, is Trey coming to the Palace and telling us how many times he's played Johnny Be Good?
Johnny Be Good, exactly.
It's a guy to hang out with.
Yes, big news.
So what was the sequence of events here? We had Athena Racing putting out a press release statement basically saying that they felt nothing is transparent enough, essentially. That's what it said, right? And they weren't directly involved in the negotiations, which in theory they were meant to be, only to be followed by American Magic saying the same. So it's obviously caused a bit of a rift. In the meantime, we also hear that Alingi are actually not out of the show.
What's going on?
The Cup. It's the Cup, boys. It's the Cup.
As mentioned last week,
There's a reason for it, though.
in 2 or 3 years' time, when there's 5 or 6 boats on the start line, we're not really going to care. The Cup would go ahead. We saw, what shall we break down the press releases first?
If you want.
What's your take on it, Jordan? You would have analysed it a bit more than probably.
So there's some good things that have come out for sure. Obviously, with the crew, so everything's going to be electric now. So no power, human power on the boat. So it's just everything is operating electrically.
But not full, just over. You still have to manage the power output.
Yep.
As well.
So 6 crew, 1 male, 1 youth, which I think is great.
1 female, 1 youth. Yep.
I'm really interested in how that's going to play out. That one, I can see all sorts of crazy things happening because, so like a Hannah Mills, are they going to just drop Hannah straight into the helming position, for example? There's that sort of thing that I'd be interested in. So that's all pretty cool.
But essentially, the draft protocol got shared after Athena and American Magic sent a release out saying nothing. The Team New Zealand aren't being transparent.
So there's 2 ways. So one of the things they raised was the fact that they've announced the location without agreement from the challenger of record or the challengers. So they're saying that might be part of it. The other thing is this private company that they're trying to set up, the America's Cup events. I think there's more depth in behind that. I think there's a bit of stuff going on there. The defenders, the challengers, really, they can just turn up. It's not their business to sort of organise this. And so what they're concerned about is with this new structure. The ACE, I think they're calling it, is it ACE, America's Cup Events, America's Cup Partnership, run by a new group, America's Cup Partnership. Okay, so basically that's responsible now for managing the event, but to each of the challengers has to pay a bit of money to join that, right? And
$5 mil.
There's
It's just a bit, yeah.
And there's a little bit of, I think there's a bit of concern how that's all going to run and how, who's going to be liable for funds, who's going to be liable for organising it, who's got to manage it. I suspect there's a lot more going on in that space than around the sailing stuff, because I think most of the sailing stuff's pretty standard. It hasn't changed too much except for the crew rules. I think there's two. You can have two from your non-country sailors, as long as they didn't sail for another team last year. So Pete's out; he can't sail for anyone else, according to that rule. So it could be that; it could be all sorts of things. But I think that there's something to do with this management process and what the liabilities that'll flow from that and how it's going to manage it. And suddenly, as a challenger, you've got to spend a whole heap more money running around organising the event. And so I think New Zealand are trying to offload all that stress onto everybody else, and everybody else is just going, your cup, you do it, so that's...
Yeah, a bit of a careful what you wish for a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
So now we'll have to stick a little bit closer to this, and I might just pop down the squadron, actually, while I'm here.
There you go.
Ask them what's going on.
Yeah.
Roving reporter from Barker.
Roving reporter.
Mind talking into my iPhone?
Well, that's how it's done.
Yeah. We'll wait and see.
All right, from a sailing point of view, though, having just recently sailed in that exact stretch of water where the America's Cup will be sailed, on Thursday it would have been the ultimate day for America's Cup racing. 10 knots under Mount Vesuvius, just perfect. Perfect conditions. On Friday, brought the ferry across to catch a cab from the ferry terminal to the airport. Complete shit fight.
Right.
Like trying to get around. And just to give a bit of benefit of the doubt, not entirely sure where it's going to be raced from, where the bases are going to be and all those sorts of things. So it might be in a complete different area. But bit of an eye-opener. One would say.
She's good fun going for a taxi ride in Naples.
Oh, yeah.
Had a crash. Didn't stop.
Kept
don't worry about
it. What time's your flight? Oh, we're a bit busy.
And just adding K Challenge have put in their intention to race.
Yep.
So, and we see the Italians training. So there's activity.
Yeah.
There's activity. And there's going to be. It's the cup.
The rumoured second Italian team.
Yes, heard that too. That was over the discussion table on Friday. There is movement, and I think there's just a bit of an agreement.
Normal cup dance.
Hey?
Just the normal dance.
Just the normal dance. You got it. Yeah. The controversy feeds the excitement.
So, but what is important for us is that a few lead-up events are all in the 40s, which is cool. And they'll be happening sort of end of 26 into the start of 27, and then the Cup will go that whole cycle of the Cup. And so it'll be happening in 27. And as you said, we've got to work out where the water will be, but it's on. Cup is on. Yep. How it's going to look exactly, I think there's just a bit of posturing going on, and that posturing will continue. Let's just hope they resolve it.
And it will not diminish.
No.
At all.
No, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So
we'll have something to talk about for a while.
Speaking of Naples, boys, the IMA Max Europeans, what was last week? I just finished the long race, and then this week 4 days of call it inshore racing with some small coastal races as well.
Yeah.
Had everything from let's call it light air sailing up to a coastal race around Capri with about up to 25 knots, just katabatic winds coming off of the down the cliffs, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
pretty awesome. Yep. And the big winners were in the 72. Well, they're not really 72 footers anymore, but the mini maxis. Bellamente, over Jolt, Proteus and Northstar, who are all equal second. Is that right?
Yeah, big tie. So second, there was 3 boats on 17 points. Bellamente 9 points. It's really interesting looking at the results. So with Bellamente, obviously the round the can stuff, she goes great guns. But the longer race where you boys got to stretch out a bit, race 6, she got a 7th. So but all the 72s at the top of the table there, and then
and then in the big boats it was Galatea over Bulletin V. In the call it the YRC0. Is that what we called ourselves? But that was a good little takeaway on the Galatea for us. But super close racing. Literally that last race just spoken about in the Bay of Napoli. 2 boat lengths between Galatea and V Racing for the whole day.
Yeah. Amazing.
200 footers. And at one point in time, there's Magic Carpet, us and V all coming into the top mark at once.
Yeah.
It's about an 80 million euro rounding like that. A few assumptions made there.
Yeah.
But but super cool regatta. Great area. Plenty of tourists, good stuff going on.
Yeah.
What else have I got? I just do have listed here, obviously, Volunteer Week. Just again, a shout out to all the volunteers. Not only, we see it firsthand in Oz, but every yacht club in the world, I would imagine, is volunteers are the what is it? The glue that binds society together. These clubs together. So that's all good. What else we got going on, boys?
I know the VX1s are going for international recognition, so they're going to look like they're going to be able to do world champs in the VX1. So that class is going from strength to strength. So more power to them. The build of 3 newer mockers was announced. I reckon that's pretty interesting.
Sorry, top of my list here.
Yeah,
3 newer mockers, a collaboration between some pretty big hitters in the sport.
Yeah.
So we got Boris, Tomaruyunt, and Louis Baraha. Bank Pop. Baraha.
Yeah, Bank Pop. It's the selling
Bank Pop. Essentially building the same platform, but then they can go their separate ways with everything else.
I'm interested because Tommy
with the
Ryan.
Antoine Coq design as well.
Yeah.
Which he's been around for a long, long time, but probably and had a couple of boats in the last race. But this is a big move in IMOCA world.
Push.
Yeah, well, it is. It's different. It is different. I mean, it's good that getting 3 boats together so you can tune up together. That's a one win. The new boats is going to time out pretty well because obviously we go in August. I think we do the Ocean Race Euro event, so that kicks off, and so I think Melitza's going to Francesca Klapic. I think we should we got to reach out to Francesca. She'd be great to have on the show. But so she's going to be doing the Euro Ocean Race on.
Maybe maybe we could spend a bit of time, do a bit of a review. I've got one person I think we could bring onto the show.
Yeah.
It may not be too much yachting talk and there might be a bit too much foolish behaviour talk, but I think we should put a vote out to the listener. It's about time we got Coxie on, for sure.
I've always said that. I've been
waiting for it. it. I'm not sure. Well, I mean, we've done with Coxie before when we did our first ever thing when we were just the boatyard discussion.
The first pilot.
Yeah,
boatyard pilot.
Pilot one multiple years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago. But yeah, that would be he'd be the man to know everything. But this is cool though. A mocker class just keeps going from strength to strength, and front end of the fleet. So these boats are going to come out red hot, and I'm really interested to see what new things we're going to see. When's the next rule update in the mockers? Do we know? Does anyone? I can't remember.
They're set for the 28th Vendée already.
Yeah.
So won't be, I guess it's a year or two before the Vendée.
Yeah.
So they can start planning for the 2032.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
No.
That'll be cool. Be cool to see the boats. So yeah, it's exhausting. There's no rest, boys. No rest at all. BP looks like you need some rest too.
Well, we won't go into that, but we've been busy.
Yeah. I did go down to Sanctuary Cove, as I said, which is the big trade show in Oz.
What did you buy?
Well, it was good because I
bumped into Rowan and got an excess.
I did go looking for Rowan, but he wasn't on the boat when I was there, so I left a note. But
got a Palm Beach and said, Palm Beach 65, maybe?
No, I looked at a lot of boats. It was good. It's a big show. It's a massive show. I think they had record numbers again. It was glamour weather in Queensland.
Nice.
And Jackie came along, right? So my wife came along, which is the first time. And so every day she sees me looking at boats and I talk about this boat and she doesn't care. Like she just doesn't care. But now she saw them live and it makes sense to her. So it was a good show for that perspective, able to actually say, oh yeah, this is a good boat. This would be fun to, and she could, sitting on the front of a big catamaran. I won't name brands unless they give us some money. But sitting on the front of a big catamaran, she's just gone, oh, I can see this now. You could be anchored up. And
Interesting.
I can see it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very good, lads.
Nice.
Cool. Is that us?
Rightio. Let's call it.
All right. Let's call it another great week. Thanks for all your efforts, boys. Good to see you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember, cheers@barkarati.com if you want to send us any notes, and you'll be in a chance of winning some fabulous Vycobi gear. And, of course, reach out to Radix Nutrition if you want to get some great nutrition products and get a discount using Barkarati as your code. Another great week.
It is.
Proud Swannies t-shirt there.
No good, mate. No good.
I'm about to knock my tooth out, so I look like a real Port supporter.
Yeah, well, a big couple of extra teeth knocked out, I tell you.
See you.
See you.